everyone, it's Sarah from Sassy Reads, and happy October. So I really love Halloween and I love horror novels. My favorite author is Stephen King, and there is no perfect time than the fall and the month of October to talk about Stephen King and my love for Stephen King. So today I just kind of want to give you my backstory on Stephen King and why he is so important to me as a reader and as a person. And so I was first introduced to Stephen King at a young age. I had heard about it through a cruel prank, and it had really kind of scared me, and I really thought someone was possessed by it, which you cannot get possessed by it, so whoever pulled that prank on me, you need to brush up on your mythos. And so I was in 3rd grade at that time, and it had really psychologically hurt me a little bit, and I was already a big chicken. I was scared of skeletons. I hated trick-or-treating. I only did it because, candy. But besides that, if I saw a scary mask or anything, I jetted. And so I was really scared of it. But when I was in 4th grade, I started to read Goosebumps books, and I kept reading them, and then I was introduced to Fear Street and Christopher Pike, and those they do tackle on more supernatural type subjects, but the majority of the time Fear Street and Christopher Pike, they focus on psychopaths, sociopaths, and mysteries of that sort, and catching the killer, kind of like Criminal Minds for young readers. But I eventually wanted to branch out from Fear Street and Christopher Pike because I was reading, I think I had almost read every single Fear Street book by the time I was around 12 years old, and I had already started to read Twilight and House of Night and stuff like that, your usual paranormal YA stuff. And I wanted to start reading adult books when I turned, I think, 12 or 11, and so I went further than I usually did in my local used bookstore, which is no longer there, RIP, and I went to the back stacks, and I just so happened to wander into the horror section, which is predominantly Stephen King. If you've ever been in the horror section of a used bookstore, it's mainly just Stephen King. Not there's not other horror authors, but Stephen King has written a large body of works, and a lot of his books have circulated through used bookstores, library sales, and just bookstores in general, even regular, everyday, new books. And so Stephen King, I picked up a couple of his books. I was interested. I was I want to check him out. And at that time, I think I picked up maybe 3 or 4 of his books, one of those being It. And I picked that one up because I knew the title, and I knew that I wanted to conquer my fear. And so I read It. I don't know how to explain my experience with it because I enjoyed it, but I also don't feel like I loved it, and I'd love to revisit the novel as an adult and see what I think. But it definitely left me a little scared. I could not watch the TV movie until I was 17 years old because I just didn't want to ever picture it physically. And yeah, so I read a couple more Stephen Kings after that. I read Carrie, which I love, Salem's Lot, which I struggled to get through, but I definitely want to revisit that one. I read Night Shift, 4 Past Midnight, and The Cycle of the Werewolf, and then that ended my Stephen King stint until I was a junior in high school, and my English teacher was a huge Stephen King fan, and I feel like him being a huge Stephen King fan kind of rubbed off on me, and I was man, I need to revisit this. I need to know if my opinion still stands. So I went to another used bookstore in my town, and I picked up Full Dark, No Stars, and Dreamcatcher. I still have yet to read Dreamcatcher, but I've seen the movie, and I love the movie. So I will be getting to that one soon. But I read Full Dark, No Stars during the month of October that year, and I absolutely adored it. P.S. 1922 is coming out this year on Netflix, and that's a short story novella in that collection, and it is my favorite in the collection. I think it's one of King's best. Like, I personally just love that story, and I don't know if it's because it was my first reintroduction to him, but I adore 1922, and so I started to slowly buy his books again, and last year, as a freshman in college, I repurchased Night Shift by Stephen King, and it kind of kickstarted my continual read-through for the 2017 year. I have read a lot of Stephen King since then, but why Stephen King is so important to me is because he's such a prolific writer. I don't think I've ever come across another writer who can write in so many different genres and still be able to say the same thing. And most of his stories always have the same message of, yes, we live in a cruel world and people are shit, and there's a lot of decay in it, but there's also always hope. And I don't know, I love that. And I have read a good bit of his work as of so far this year, and I'm currently reading one of his novels right now. It's a novella collection called Different Seasons, and to me, Stephen King is just like probably, I guess you could say, one of the, for me personally, he's the best writer I've ever read. Even in his worst work, I still consider it to be better than most writers' works. And I know, like, a lot of people feel like Stephen King is commercialized, and I don't care that he's commercialized. Like, Charles Dickens was commercialized during his time, and Charles Dickens is still hailed today as one of the greatest writers of his period and of literature. And so I don't feel like we should hate on commercialism, especially when somebody like Stephen King has written so many popular books that have influenced our culture the way that they have. Like, people talk about him all the time. Everything that he has written has in some way shaped a genre within horror, whether it was the vampire genre or clowns, and even just this year alone, we have seen how powerful Stephen King is and how he's still a hot topic in today's literature and media. And I still have not seen the movie It, predominantly because I want to like reread it, and also because I'm too scared to sit in a theater and I want to just watch it in the comfort of my home. But I really love Stephen King, and like, it's the month of October, and I just want to spread the love of Stephen King, so I'll be bringing you Stephen King videos all throughout the month of October. Every now and then you'll see one pop up. I really want to share my love of him, like, with my channel, and I talk about him a lot, but this is a month all about Stephen King. I'm calling this Kingtober, and I hope that you will check out my videos. I'll start a playlist or something. And yeah, if you are a Stephen King fan, I'd love to hear your story with him. I'd love to hear your favorite book, and I hope to see you in my future Stephen King videos. Bye, and happy Kingtober!